We are here, day one. Securus Originals. We are on the platform. We are doing a thing. For all my people holding down Unity, give me a shout out. For all my people still holding down JPay, give me a shout out. All across the nation, we are in the building. I am your host, Andre Norman. Don't ask me about Second Acts. Second Acts is on your tablet. Check us out, but we on to the next thing. I need y'all to be on to the next thing. We're on to day one. And today we have a phenomenal guest. We always have phenomenal guests. We bring real people to talk about real stuff. So this is a brother that I met when I first moved to Atlanta. We were doing real estate.
Right.
He was crushing. He came in with this thing called pretty houses. I said, man, he come all flyed up talking about pretty houses. And he started explaining, or you started explaining, ways to do loans and mortgages and reverse loans and all this stuff about how do you get a house, you don't have to pay nothing. And I was like, it made sense the first time you said it. And I started listening, and then we was building. And it was like, okay. And we tried to collaborate and do some business together. But I just want you to know he's a real estate mogul, real estate phenomenon, you know what I'm saying? Clever, ingenious brother. And Idris, are you originally from Atlanta?
No. Moved here in 2013.
From?
North Carolina.
North Carolina. North Carolina is in the building.
That's right.
So you want to tell these folks who you are and what you do.
Okay. I'm Idris Talib, known as the Pretty House Guy. Anyway, I grew up like a lot of other people, single-parent household. You know, in my house, we stress make good grades, go to college, all of that jazz and everything. So the way that I came to prison is a little bit different than a lot of people. I was a straight-A student. I ended up going to North Carolina State on an engineering scholarship.
Go to college, you do your thing, your parents are happy.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Now you're living in the A, you're doing real estate.
Right.
I met you, I was impressed. I was like, yo, this is a brother I got to work with.
Right.
And we building. I used to do classes
That's
up in Buckhead.
Yep.
You come through the classes and we doing a thing.
Right.
And then I get a call.
Right.
Like, yo, huh? You like, because I know you have businesses in multiple states, and I get the call. You're like, yo, I get the call.
Right.
And I'm like, you call me like, yo, Dre, I'm jammed. I'm like, what are you talking about? I expect this from some of the homies.
Right.
Not from the pretty house guy.
Right.
And he was like, yo, nah, I got problems.
Right. Right.
Then I was like, okay. And then we sat down, we built, and at the end of the day, you went to court.
Right.
What'd they give you?
5 years.
What did you think when they said 5 years? Because we thought it was going to be a fine or something.
Right. Well, actually, it was. I had
plus 5.
I had a no. I had a deferred sentence. I had to pay back $400,000 in 6 months, and that's why I had a plea bargain. If I would have paid back $400,000 in 6 months, I would have just had a guilty plea, no time whatsoever. But I went broke.
You went broke.
I went broke. And once I went broke, I wasn't able to come up with the money. So I go to sentencing, and that's when they handed me out the 5 years. And then, you know, at that moment of time, I said, it is what it is. There's nothing I can do about it. So I'm just going to make the best use of my time.
But when you're sitting in court,
right,
and they say, sir, you going in prison for 5 years.
Right.
You a good dude. You went to school, went to college, got a career, multiple businesses, and they're like, you are going. I went to juvie.
Right.
I went to the county.
Right.
I got a whole bunch of friends who went to juvie and went to county.
Right.
We got kicked out of high school, principal's office. We've been doing this forever.
Right.
You went from grown man, never been in the penitentiary or locked up to 5 years. I mean, what's the mental shift on that?
I had studied what could happen. So in my head, I just did the math real fast. I knew I was going to do 65%. It was nonviolent. So I said, okay, I'm going to be in there about 3.5 years. And it's not fun or anything, but I just said it was about the time when Bill Cosby called his time. I said, look, like me and Bill, we're going to be serving our time the same amount of time. And from there, I just accepted my fate, and, you know, I just went on with it. But things didn't really hit me until I actually got out of my nice custom-made $2,000 suit, and they put me in those. They put me in the inmate clothes and everything, and that's when it really hit me.
You are officially an inmate.
Correct. They slammed that door. I was in there by myself.
And you thought what?
I was just like, this is. I mean, this is my reality for the next 3.5 years. The thing that really made me emotional, during the time, it wasn't an issue. The thing that really made me emotional was I felt like I let my daughters down. That's what got to me, was I had small daughters. They were young. They were, at the time, they were 4 and 6 years old. And I just felt like I let them down.
So you're sitting in the cell, door closed, and you know your daughter's on the other side of the wall.
Correct.
You're thinking, I messed up.
Right, because they had no idea what happened. I knew my sentencing was coming up. I remember I was trying to spend as much time with them as possible. And I remember my daughter just coming back and laughing, "Bye, Daddy," running in the house thinking she's going to see me again the next week or so. And I knew that I have no idea when I'm going to see her again.
So when you drove off after that last visit, you knew you weren't going to see her again.
Correct.
But you didn't tell her.
Correct.
So if you can go back to that day or back to that time, would you have told her? And what would you say?
I would have explained that Daddy is going to be going away on a trip. I probably would have said it's going to be a business trip. And the way that I explained it to my daughters when I told them was that I had a contract position with South Carolina Department of Corrections.
That's clever.
Right. So
You undercover boss?
right, is that I had a contract position with them, and I'll be going away for a while, and that's the way that I explained everything to them. But one of my daughters is like a genius. You have these tablets, everybody has these cell phones out. So my daughter, she was just nonchalantly talking to her friends. This was the 6-year-old, and then she was asking, I think they're talking about, how old is your daddy? And then she asked Siri how old. She just asked Siri and put my name in. And everything's online now.
Your inmate picture popped up.
Bam, there you go. Everything popped up.
She came home crying.
Right, talked to her mommy. She said, we know what's going on, because the charge I had was false statement by a medical provider and obtaining property under false pretenses. And then it was talking about Medicaid fraud. So that's what happened. I had a healthcare company. And then we had fraudulent activity going on. We're billing on clients without seeing the patients. I was the owner of the company.
You take the hit.
I take the hit.
But I'm not worried about that part.
Okay.
It's your daughter comes home, Mom, I thought Daddy was a contractor.
Right.
This don't look like contract work.
Right. Right.
Then your wife had to explain it to your kids.
Yep. I had that conversation with him. Yep. That's exactly what happened.
So now you feel even. She called. You call home. She can't call you. You call home, you think you got a good lie. And she said, gigs up.
Right.
The girls know.
Exactly what happened. Yep.
How you feeling now?
That was a low point. That was a low point. I felt that in terms of letting them down, everything was just magnified exponentially. So at that point, I dedicated myself to ensure that, I was going to come out as a better person, because one of my core values has been a great role model for my family.
So you're in there. Question. Because I know your situation, because I know you.
Right.
And we've had conversations. I know the fam. Where's the ownership of it falling on your shoulders?
Right.
Not who did what.
Right.
In what space?
Right.
Where's the owners? How did you view as far as being the owner and you taking the hit?
I was accountable for it. It is what it is. I signed a letter of attestation saying that I'm 100% responsible for every single thing that goes on in my business. I didn't have a good systems of controls. There's nothing I could do about it. It is what it is. The buck stops right there with me. I didn't have what I needed to have in place. And
this is a little bit too late, but one of my early mentors when I was in business, Ken Johnson, Harvard graduate, shout out to Ken. When I was doing all my trainings, he said to me, Andre, as a director, hiring people is your number one thing you need to be concerned about. Because once you hire somebody, you no longer control them, but you're responsible for everything that they do. So make sure that you triple check and bear down, go deep before you hire somebody. Because once they get their jacket, and they put their little patch on their arm, it's on you.
You know what, Andre? I wish I would have heard that advice. So my mentality was, we're going to make as much money as possible. So if someone had the attributes that they could add to the bottom line, that's what I was concerned about, instead of looking at some of those intangibles. You know, how's their character? How are their leadership skills? How's their accountability? And things of that nature. I wasn't looking at that whatsoever. So I wish, hindsight's 20/20, I wish someone would have had that conversation with myself.
So now you're in here.
Right.
Most people come in struggling with lack of education, lack of environment that was
Right.
positive, a lot of lacking.
Right.
You came in with all that stuff on steroids, just bad decision making.
Right, correct.
So you're in here. What's your plan for this 3.5 years?
So my plan was, and this is crazy, I was at minimum security, okay? So I was actually put there for work release. We'll leave out every single day. We'll go out working and everything. And everything just reversed for me. Everything I did in life was, I was trying to make money. I was trying to get paid. And there, you make between $11, $15 an hour, which is good to be in prison. But then I thought about it. I said, you know what? Based off what you just said, my skill set is I have a lot of value I can give. And that's when you saw me. I said, you know what? I'm going to give up making money, and I'm going to teach. But there was two sides of the coin. Everything I did, I try to be strategic with everything I do. If I get into the classroom, I have access to books. If I get into the classroom, I have access to the computer and everything, which can stimulate me intellectually. But not only that, I'm able to give back. I used to tutor calculus when I was in college. I can relate to the guys. I can relate to the guys in terms of a lot of things I know about guys. They want to make money when they get out. So I translated the correlation between education and making money. And when I was there in 2 years, we smashed the record for the number of guys getting their GED when I was there. And that's because I could relate to them. I could teach anything that there was, and that was how I was going to give back. You know, I did classes. I created curriculums when I was there. You know, I was teaching them about success. What does it take to go from point A to point B? That was one of the goals that I have. Another thing that happened was speaking. We had Toastmasters came in. They had something called Speechcraft. I was one of the mentors with that. So the whole time I was there, I said, I'm going to develop skill sets that I'm going to be able to utilize when I get out. And the flip side of that, I'm going to bring other people along. I'm going to show them another way of life they may have never been able to experience. So when they get out, they're going to be able to just have options and know what their options are.
I remember, how shocked was you? You're in the school teaching at the prison, and I came bopping around the corner.
This was the craziest thing in the world, because visitors, when they come in with a very limited capacity. They're walking with the correction officers. Andre walks in like he owns this place. And I know nothing about, you know, what you do with the Academy of Hope. When I think of Andre, I think about Andre as a real estate guy. You know, that's how I met you.
Yeah.
Don had an event, and you were the MC for it. That's how I knew Andre. He does real estate, and he develops businesses for people. I mean, I was just totally shocked, because I was like, what are you doing here?
I was like, what are you doing here?
Right. And then, you know, Andre told me this story, and I was just blown away. And it's like, you can never judge a book by its cover. You know, all of the things that Andre is doing, all of you right now, you can do the exact same thing. You know, if you're very strategic and you're driven and you're focused, there's nothing that can't be done.
And y'all broke records
Right.
for the GED testing.
That's right.
I got my GED in jail.
Right.
I remember my teacher who helped me out.
Right.
But so many people didn't want to go to school.
Right.
And then you're in South Carolina, with no knock on South Carolina. Down south, education is tough.
You're right.
The system outside of school
Right.
is tough.
Right.
So how did you get people who were struggling
Right.
or just not with the school vibe
Right.
to study? And minimum security, for the record,
Right.
is when people get to minimum, they're like, my time's up.
That's right.
I'm going home.
That's right.
I'm out of here. I ain't doing nothing else but
Right.
chilling.
Right.
So that is like the worst place or the hardest place to teach anything,
Right.
because those guys see the door.
Right.
When you get a guy in maximum security or even medium security, they trying to work to something.
Right.
They got to earn jail credits. They got to do stuff to get out of their cell. Minimum security, you chilling.
Right.
You got the hardest motivated population in the system.
Right.
How'd you get them to go to GED?
When people saw me, they know what I'm about. I'm about getting paid and making money. And the thing that I know about guys, and this is how you reduce the rate of recidivism, is if they can come out, make money to take care of their family, the rate of recidivism will drop significantly. So what I did was everything I taught was a correlation to be able to make money. I used to read the Wall Street Journal every single day to get people to, because math is a tough one for a lot of them. Because you have to think about it. The tough thing, it's not that they lack the ability, it's the confidence and self-esteem. You know, a lot of these guys, they're in their 30s, 40s, and 50s. They haven't been in school since they were 14, 15, 16. That's a gap of 20, 30, 40 years. And we have to motivate them and encourage them. So the way that I did that, I'll say, look, take this paper right here. I want you to flip through every single page. What do you see in common? I see all these little graphs and stuff. I say the Wall Street Journal is a publication that millionaires and billionaires read. If graphs are important to them, and you want to be a millionaire and billionaire, what is it that you think that you need to learn? I need to learn all these graphs and stuff. You're right. So that was my link to get them interested in it. You know, another thing, I told a lot of stories. I did a lot of illustrations. You know, let's just hypothetically say that you own a cell phone store. You know, let me ask you a question. If you own a cell phone store, do you care if you sell more iPads, iPhones, or Samsung Galaxies? So I don't care. You're exactly right. So if we can plot these curves and everything against each other based off the sales or whatever, we know how we get able to increase productivity, increase revenue, and at the bottom line, increase profits. That's why you're learning all of this stuff. Because the question is, why am I going to use this mess in real life? I know you want to be a businessman. Another thing that I did, a lot of people in there were there for drugs. You know, some of you may be in there for drugs. Well, we all know the drug game. You got a supplier, you got a middleman, you got distribution. Who do you think has the most strategic advantage? You know, if you really, some say the supplier, I say, no, it's not the supplier. It's the plug, it's the middleman. The middleman has the most to gain because the middleman is able to create opportunities for themselves. If you get jammed up in a situation, who do they want to see? The guys on the ground level, that's distribution. Those people probably getting caught up. They want to find a plug because the plug can get them to the supplier. Who can work the best deal? The plug. You want to be the plug. The best thing about being a plug is you're creating things out of thin air. So a lot of these things that you may do on the streets, if you learn just a couple of rules in business, you can be very, very, very successful. And that's why education is so important.
Everybody in here, they're sitting in their cell. You got to figure out how to use this thing.
Right.
Some people came to jail. Technology didn't exist.
Right.
iPhones came out in 07 or something.
Right.
Dude's been in jail since 2000,
Right.
90s. They're learning technology.
Right.
And they're thinking it's a game. That game transfers.
That's
So
right.
how do you see the transfer of technology for guys inside who
Right.
couldn't understand anything to now?
I would say those tablets right there, this tablet right here is a game changer. Where I was at, it was a work camp. So guys are getting ready to get released. And the biggest problem that I saw is we are giving people low-tech skills in a high-tech world. And these tablets right here changed everything whatsoever. Now it opens up so many possibilities in terms of what you're able to do and what you have access with. I'm gonna tell you the most important thing, and this is the biggest lesson I learned in prison. The real prison is right here. You know, the thing that I learned was I was sent to prison so I can escape prison. And this tablet is one of the greatest tools that I had at my disposal because you have IP, which is intellectual property. There's so many things that you're able to do with this tablet. You can learn so many things. You can put your creativity to use to develop skills for something productive, you know, once you're released. But the tablet was a game changer for us once we received them.
You know what I got to ask you? Because I'm a professional listener,
All right.
not just a professional speaker. education is key. I know for a fact, because I tried to get you into my program, and the warden said no.
Right.
She said, he ain't leaving here. They probably wanted to extend your time. You was like the best tutor they ever saw in their lifetime. Because people like you with that education, experience, connectivity, and all your attributes generally don't show up in prison.
Right.
And then be willing to not be able to go out in the street every day to a work site and get a free hamburger someplace,
right.
but you stayed inside and taught people. The real estate process that you teach is completely legitimate. So explain some of the process, not just the facts.
Okay. The process is basically, it's control without actual ownership, okay? You're able to control these properties via contracts, okay? So what I'll do, let me give you a little quick blurb of the game, okay? And this is how it's free. There's people who are looking to sell their house. Where do we find these people? We find them online. We find people who are raising their hands saying, hey, I want to sell my house for sale by owner. Zillow, Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, okay? We contact these individuals and, we say, yes, you want to sell your house. How much are you looking to sell your house for, okay? Now, my methodology is a little bit different than most people. It's not buy low, sell high. I put their house under contract for the full asking price. So remember, I'm like the plug. I'm the middleman. Once I have that house under contract, I have by law, it's called equitable interest. So I have an interest in being able to buy their property, okay? Any type of agreement or contract that you sign, it can be assignable, okay? Basically, you can sell your position in that contract for a fee, and that's what we're doing. We're looking for outside individuals who are looking to buy that house, and then we're able to create a spread. And if you look at margins, it's easy to squeeze $5,000 or $10,000 out of a $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 asset. And then there's some other intricacies.
So this is wholesaling at a high level?
This is wholesaling at the high level based off spreads, yes.
Oh, no, okay. Did you think you was going to come back out and bounce back?
Yes. I knew that beyond a shadow of a doubt. The first thing I did was I just looked in the mirror and I saw my reflection looking back at me. And then basically, I just kind of told myself, I said, I'm created in God's image. God can do anything, so can I.
What gave you the confidence? Because I know so many people who might be walking the yard swole up or walking the yard, ball player, handball player, chess player, whatever.
Right.
When it's time to go home, their confidence is shook.
Right.
When it was time for you to go home, was your confidence shook?
No.
Why?
I prepared every single day. I actually set New Year's resolutions when I was in prison. I was very intentional with everything that I did when I came to prison.
What do you mean you prepared every single day?
I read books. I studied books. I told you I was reading the Wall Street Journal. I just prepared. I knew exactly. I had total clarity in terms of what I wanted to do when I left prison. I had people send me books. It's funny. I actually had an expense account with South Carolina Department of Corrections. They used to send me resources that I needed to teach my classes, but I taught my classes for things that were going to prepare me when I left prison.
Help you, help them.
Correct.
So education, semi-important, super important, or just all right?
It's vital. It's vital. Education is vital.
So what is the likelihood of somebody walking out without a GED or any type of trade or skill and making it? Because you've seen people go home who just didn't buy in. They just kept working a job.
Highly improbable, because in order to make money, you have to have skills. You have to have skills. There's no if, ands, or buts. You have to have skills to make money now. You just have to.
Having gone through a real education on the street, when you were put in prison, and you're surrounded by people who were struggling with education.
Right.
What did you see as a trend or a theme?
The biggest theme is, for education, is confidence. If I can get you to believe, I can have you achieve anything. All I have to do is get you to believe. So a lot of the education, I will tell you the biggest thing that I did learn was I was on this whole thing where you're grown men, you should be accountable for your education. I had to meet them where they are and see things through their eyes. I was seeing things through my eyes. But once I start seeing things through their eyes, that's when the transformations were able to happen.
And what were they seeing? Because they're watching us.
Right.
So what were the things that they were seeing?
They were just seeing that they hadn't been in school for a very long time. This is a waste of time. They know it's important, but at the same time, it's not for them. It's based off of their backgrounds and everything. You know, it may not have been encouraged. So my goal was to really link that education to something that I know that's important to them, which is being able to make money.
Having spent 3.5 years inside encouraging people, helping people, breaking records in the GD space.
Right.
We ain't going to shoot by that. Breaking records
Right.
in the GD space. That is step one of many to success.
Right.
You're home now.
Right.
How long you been home for?
About 20 months.
20 months. Mm-hmm. How has your experience inside shaped what you do now?
It was pivotal because now I have clarity and I have focus, which I didn't. You know, this was my mindset when I was in prison. I was brought to prison to be great. When I was in prison, I had no worries whatsoever. I had people go grocery shopping for me. I had people who were cooking for me. I had people who were cleaning for me.
You was boss?
No, that was my mentality. Oh, so the guys who worked in the kitchen, y'all working for me. The COs and everything, y'all work for me to provide security.
Oh, okay.
It was just a mind. It was just a mind game.
Oh, you talking about the child line? You're like the kitchen workers are preparing food. You got a whole kitchen staff.
Yeah, I have a kitchen staff. I have a custodial staff. I have people who do my laundry.
No, because there's people in prison that actually have that. It ain't institutional staff. But you lost me for a second. Excuse me.
Right. No. No one really worked for me. That was just my mentality.
How you worked it. I never, listen, 14 inside, 22 home. I never thought of the kitchen staff works for me. I got a custodial staff that cleans up. I got a security staff to make sure I'm safe. I got everything's taken care of.
That was my mentality, so I could be great, so I could have time to focus. As a matter of fact, we were in a dormitory and everything. I set up like a little office. I had my bed right here. I had a table right here. I had my books. That was my – people knew what I was all about. I used to have meetings with people. You know, everyone in prison, I know everybody got a hustle. You know what my hustle was? I used to create parole packets. Andre know about my parole experience. Out of everybody who should have gotten parole, I should have gotten it.
They weren't letting you go. You was too good a teacher. You should have took that job out in the street.
The funny thing was, every single person I prepared a parole packet for got parole. Everyone.
But you.
Correct.
So what was the lesson that you take now in not getting parole?
The lesson was I still have more work to do. Really, I have to turn it into a positive. You know, the biggest thing that I used to encourage brothers is focus on what you can control, and anything you can't control, don't worry about. You know, that's the biggest thing. Just focus. The only thing that you have absolute control over is this right here in your interpretation. I used to walk around, people used to think I was crazy. I'll go in the bathroom, look in the mirror. I used to see myself in a custom-made suit, and I would say, I'm a winner. That's all I said all day, every day. I said, I walk like a winner. I eat like a winner. I sleep like a winner. Everything's about winning. Everything. And then that energy is cast out. I mean, even the COs, the administrative staff, when you see me, you see a winner. You don't, I'm not an inmate. I'm not whatever you want to label me. I'm a winner. And that's how I saw myself, and that's how I carried myself, and that's why I encourage all of you to do as well. You're a winner as well in every single thing you do. And the biggest thing is act as if right now, this second. That's all you have to do, act as if right now. No one can take that away from you, no one.
I know I got parole in April, and I was supposed to go home in April after 13.5 years. I didn't actually go home until November.
Wow.
I had parole.
Right.
My history and stuff, I got caught up for they just helped me and went through all the red tape and the stuff, based in part on my actions. So like, Dre, they were wrong. They were wrong, but they didn't pick my name out of a hat. I put my name on the board voluntarily.
Right.
I gave them grief for so long that when the grief came back, I had to accept it. So I don't do lawsuits, I do ownership. And long story short, I got parole in April. I went home in November. And for that time, I was mad at them. I'm like, oh, they holding me hostage. This ain't right. I should be gone. I did my time. Why y'all playing with my paperwork?
Right.
I got out November 15th. It was Christmas. No, it was Thanksgiving, and it was cold. I'm from Boston. So I came out dead of winter. So what do? I stay in the house. Thanksgiving hits, Christmas hits, and it's dead of winter. Nobody's in the street. January comes, I'm in college. I sign up immediately. I started college like January 5th or 6th. Had I come home in April and not November, I would have been in the street all summer flossing. I owed that to myself.
Right.
After 13 and a half years, I was due a summer in the street flossing. The hood was happy to see me. The fam was happy to see me. Man, listen, most people don't get parades. I got one. So I'm out here. I'd have been all summer, 4 months, April, May, June, July. I'd have been out there flossing. Then I'd have had to go to school in September, which probably wouldn't have happened.
Right.
Because I'd have been having such a good time, I'd have started down that path.
Right.
But because they held me up, what I thought was unfair, but they held me up,
Right.
I didn't get out to November, which gave me that 45-day window in the dead of winter,
Right.
which there was nothing to get in trouble in,
Right.
and boom.
Right.
They did me a favor
Right.
in holding me that extra 8 months.
Right.
I didn't see it at the time.
Right.
Sometimes the blessings and what you think is a curse.
Correct.
I'm so happy I did not get out in April. Because I'd have been everywhere but college.
Right.
Which means I'd have been everywhere but here.
Right.
So we're here.
Right.
Timing counts. And it's not in our time.
Right.
It's in the time it's supposed to be.
Exactly.
And what is your message to the people who say you can't redefine who you are?
No, that's an absolute lie, because your voice matters. You matter. You have influence. And the biggest thing is, I'm telling you right now, and Dre will tell you as well, you are a winner. But you have to believe that for yourself. And once you have that belief, you have to act as if every single day. And just put it out there and see how your life will just transform.
So I always ask the guests to come on here to just take a few minutes and focus exclusively on women, their needs. They have a whole different set of needs than us.
Right.
The information we give is great.
Right.
But the information that they need sometimes is different.
Right.
And if you would take a few minutes, man, and just share with your sisters what you think of them, what you think that they could be,
right,
and some steps. Does this work for them? Or is this just a guy thing because you're a guy?
No, absolutely not. And I would say, speaking directly from women, I was raised, some of you may be single mothers. I was raised by a single mother. I've seen some of the struggles that you've actually had to overcome. There's been times my mom sent me to school. She didn't have any money. She would give my brother and I her last money so we could eat lunch, and she went without. But the thing that I would say is just know who you are, because you are the foundation for for basically all of humanity. You're the foundation for it. And with your time, just utilize your time in the best way possible. The way that I used to tell people is, if you have 4 years, you're a freshman. If you have 3 years, you're a sophomore. You have 2 years, now it's your junior year. Your last year, now it's a senior. Prepare for that graduation. Just prepare for it every single day. Just put in that work. And just, don't give up. You are somebody. Just keep believing and keep believing. And for some of you, you may have longer time and everything. Just every single day does matter. Every single day does count, because you never know who you may inspire, and your day will come. It will.
Man, I heard that. I feel that. I appreciate that. But for the sister who says, I'm not a winner, I've done some things that I don't think I can be forgiven for. Nobody, if they knew the truth about me, they won't deal with me.
What I would say is, if you knew the truth about you, you're already forgiven. If you know the truth about yourself, you know you are a winner. You woke up this morning. You're breathing right now. You may not see opportunities, but there are opportunities. So I would just say, just change the way that you view things. But it has to start within. It doesn't matter what your surroundings are. It starts within. And just take one day at a time. One day at a time. If you can just take one step forward towards whatever destination or whatever it is that you want to do, things will start to open up for yourself.
I'm going to offer you up. So question.
All right.
Sister inside, she's been struggling.
Right.
She had a drug habit.
Right.
Would you hire her and teach her and train her?
I would, yes.
Sister inside, she might have worked the streets.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Would you hire a teacher and trainer?
Definitely.
Sister inside, I'm saying, has a lot of issues. Mental health, detachment, daddy issues. Would you hire a teacher and trainer?
Definitely would, yes.
Sister inside's been molested. She's hurting.
Right.
Would you hire a teacher and trainer?
I would.
Why?
Because those are things that happen to you that does not define you. And if you know who you are, like I know who you are, then I know that you have characteristics and traits of success. I know that beyond a shadow of a doubt, no matter what happened in your past, no matter what your background is. The slate is wiped clean right now, this day forward. Just walk in that power that you have within yourself, and you'll start to see success.
Ladies, you got to believe. We want to support you. We're going to support you. Day one, we're here for you. I'm going to tell you what they taught me in the penitentiary. Big Dom, my homie. He said, Dre, you throw the first punch, I'll throw the next 9. Ladies, you show up for day one, we'll walk you through the next 9. They always say you can't help somebody who doesn't want to be helped. And that's a lie. That's dead wrong. This is a step before it. Helping them getting ready to want help.
Right.
And today's the day for him to help you get ready to receive help.
That's right.
Get over that hump, then we'll get you to part 2. We're going to have to do a show called Day 2 now.
You know, that's so true. What I've seen in my experience, most people aren't successful because they're thinking about steps 7, 8, 9, and 10 without taking steps 1 and 2. Just take that first step. All you have to do is take that first step, and you can figure out step 2. And then eventually you will be on steps 7, 8, and 9.
Got you. So, ladies and gentlemen, in the building, the world-renowned educator. I'm saying you shattered records, brother. I mean, to think you scored .007 in college, but you've created more high school graduates through their GEDs than anybody else in the DLC history where you came in.
Correct.
How do you feel about that?
I feel proud about that. That, some of the highlights of my time being in prison. I can remember being on the phone, grown men coming up, wrapping their arms around me, picking me up off the floor, and then just looking in their eyes, having belief in everything. You know, some of them are like, no one's ever believed in me. Now I can talk to my daughters and sons and say that if I can do it, you can do it. And that just meant everything to me.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a pleasure. I will catch you on the next one.
That's right.